Should we boycott AI? Should we stop using Claude or ChatGPT if we really care about what's going on with these data centers and if we care about the future of AI? These are the questions I deeply wanted the answers to. And so this video is all my research covering exactly that. And what I discovered was actually much bigger and more concerning than that very question. I use AI almost every day now. I use it to dig through the medical literature faster than I could on my own. But what used to take me weeks or months of doing deep research now takes me days. And this is the case for many creators and many people who are using it for their work. But if my use of AI was actually part of what's causing this massive build out that we're now seeing today, I would absolutely stop, which is why I made this video and looked deeply into this. So first things first, what is a data center? A data center is just a building full of computers. Inside those buildings are just thousands of computers stacked on shelves. They're generating tons of heat. They're using lots of energy, and they're using water to cool them. So when you stream a movie, when you send an email, when you use ChatGPT, that is all happening inside of a data center, and then you are getting that information back. Data centers themselves are not new. From what I can find, they've existed in some form since the 40s and 50s. But when the internet exploded in the 90s and in the early 2000s, data centers were built everywhere to host websites, for streaming videos, and for lots of cloud storage. If you've been online at any point in the last 30 years, you have already been using data centers. But what's new is what they are building now, and that changes the game completely. There are around 12,000 data centers in the world right now, and the United States has about half of them. The next closest countries are way behind. We're talking about Germany, who has around 500. China, surprisingly, has fewer than 500 facilities, and most of the rest of the world has tiny numbers of these centers. And what's worse is now thousands more are being built or planned to be built in the US on top of what's already running. And that's an expansion at an unprecedented rate. And online, people are arguing about this. People are talking about this because it's putting so much burden on many communities. And I've seen people make comments about how it's ridiculous that anyone would have a problem with this while they're holding their smartphone commenting about the data center. How ironic is it that you're complaining about the data center while you're holding a phone making a comment on the internet? And it got me to thinking, are they right? Is that really the issue here? Are we really just being hypocrites? And so that brings us to the next question. Is AI just more demand for more internet? And more importantly, is my personal use and your personal use of AI putting the demand for this new massive build out that's happening? And it's a fair question. And the honest answer I came to find out has a few parts. The first one is AI is built on top of the internet, but it's not just more internet. And this is what people are misunderstanding. I also misunderstood this before making this video. So to get into this, we have to first briefly understand what the internet is. The internet was originally a military project, and it was funded back in the 60s and 70s by a Pentagon agency called DARPA. Now, this is the same agency that funded AI research. So AI and the internet share the same parent. Now, that's the official declassified version of the story. The full story probably almost certainly is more complicated and layered. But for this video, we'll leave it at that. But one thing we do know, confirmed by Edward Snowden back in 2013, is that the NSA and the intelligence agencies never really left the internet. They built backdoors and monitoring infrastructure into the commercial internet from the start. And in his words, they built systems that, quote, allow it to intercept almost anything. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a court-confirmed reality.
Why should people care about surveillance?
Because even if you're not doing anything wrong, you're being watched and recorded. And the storage capability of these systems increases every year consistently by orders of magnitude to where it's getting to the point you don't have to have done anything wrong. You simply have to eventually fall under suspicion from somebody, even by a wrong call.
The internet made AI possible primarily because it provided the training data. Every Wikipedia article, every Reddit thread, every YouTube transcript, every web page, every blog I've ever written, every comment you've ever posted, all of that is what AI was trained on. ChatGPT learned how to talk to us by reading the internet. Think of AI like a project manager. The internet trained that project manager how to behave, how to think, how to execute, how to communicate. And now that project manager has been hired, not by you, but by governments and militaries. And if you think the internet that you've been using was AI free up until recently, it wasn't. The recommendations, the feeds, the search results, all of that was already powered by AI. This next wave that we're about to see is just bigger and faster and way more powerful. This video that you're watching right now, AI will use to train itself on. And we thought we were just the consumer when we bought a phone or when we paid for our internet service. But let it be known here and now that we are not the consumer here. We are the consumed. I'll repeat it again. We are not the consumer. We are the consumed. Without humans interacting on the internet, AI would have nothing to train on. So it needed us, and we actually just paid for it on top of it. Once I had this epiphany during my research, my small question of should I stop using my ChatGPT sort of became irrelevant because way bigger questions are now on the table. The second main thing that matters here, and this is the most important point, I think, that the build out happening right now is not for what we have been using the internet for, at least not what we thought we were using it for. There are two different things that happen inside an AI data center. The first one is training, which I mentioned. This is when the computers are fed tons and tons of data and they're doing all kinds of calculations, and this takes quite a long time. It can take months. It's running for months, and this is really, really expensive. Then there's a second thing that is going on in a data center, and that is inference. This is when Gmail auto-completes your sentence. That's inference. That model is already trained. It's just running. And inference is relatively cheap, and it can run on data center infrastructure that's been around for years. The data centers that run your Netflix, our Gmail, Instagram, social media, or Google searches, those already exist. They've been built up over decades. AI represented only about a quarter of all data center workloads last year. The other 75% was just the old internet. So let it also be known that our internet usage is not what's driving this new build out. The new build out is for more powerful AI and deploying that AI into hospitals, courts, banks, schools, governments, military operations that currently run on human judgment, and they want to not run on human judgment anymore. The build out is for that. It's for the next generation of AI, not what we have now, not our ChatGPT. So when people say using the internet and making a comment on social media supports the future data center build out, they're both wrong and right. They're wrong because our current internet usage has nothing to do with the new massive build outs happening. We could easily carry on using the same internet we always have on the same infrastructure that we have been using. But they are right in the sense that everything we post, everything we communicate on the internet is training AI. And it always has been. January last year, President Biden signed an executive order directing federal agencies to support AI data center construction on federal land. In July, the Trump administration supported expanding AI data center production. Different parties, but the same build-out continues. The U.S. Department of Energy proposed 16 different federal sites for AI data center construction. These are nuclear weapons research facilities. The federal government is offering its most secure infrastructure to private AI companies. The customer is the U.S. government working hand in hand with the largest corporations on earth. You and I, again, are not the customer, and we never were. The numbers here of this build out are so massive that it's hard to even understand. By next year, the biggest tech companies in the United States are projected to spend up to $1 trillion every year on AI infrastructure. That's not total, that's every single year. For example, projects already in the work are Project Stargate, that's for OpenAI. $500 billion committed to AI data center construction in the United States. Then you have Project Rainer, a 1,200-acre AI supercomputer complex in Indiana built to train Anthropic's Claude. This huge build-out is not for us to have a better virtual assistant from ChatGPT. What is all of this upcoming AI integration actually going to be used for? Well, the CEOs of the largest companies in the world are telling us directly. The CEO of Microsoft AI.
I think that we're going to have a human level performance on most, if not all, professional tasks.
Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, that's ChatGPT.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, there will be great companies created with serious machine learning.
Bill Gates, Microsoft co-founder.
It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
And finally, we have Dario Mode, the company that makes Claude. His exact quote was that we, as the producers of this technology, he said, we have a duty and an obligation to be honest about what is coming.
It is an experiment. I mean, nobody knows what the impact fully is going to be.
I think it is an experiment.
These are the people building these centers on the record, naming their timelines, and they're telling us exactly what their plan is. And now let's talk about what's already being deployed. We have AI working in medical diagnosis and treatment decisions already. The FDA cleared over 1,000 AI-enabled medical devices in the last decade. These are running in hospitals already. We have AI going on in policing now. Over 60 U.S. police departments have deployed predictive policing systems. We have AI in governmental services, like Social Security Administration is actively using AI to process disability claims. We have AI, of course, in defense and surveillance. The Pentagon's Project Maven, which uses AI for military drone targeting, has been running since 2017. Over 3,000 Google employees actually signed an open letter protesting the company's involvement with this. And because of that, Google eventually pulled out, but then they quietly reversed its own ethics policy and came back. So you can see, unfortunately, the depressing reality that I found is that my decision to use or not use my little chat GPT does not enter this equation at all. Now, to be clear, getting off the internet and living simpler lives, getting off the dependence of these devices and technologies, probably a really great idea for many reasons. Reducing your dependence on systems that don't have your best interests at heart is a legitimate reason to move away from these technologies. And also your mental health, your attention span, your intelligence, your privacy, your autonomy, all of these are very valid reasons why you wouldn't want to use these technologies. Next, Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, has been telling us what's coming for 5 years, and he published it. In 2020, the World Economic Forum began running an annual exercise called Cyber Polygon. It simulates large-scale cyber attacks on worldwide infrastructure. In his opening remarks at Cyber Polygon in 2020, Schwab said that, quote,
"We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole."
This is the same organization, by the way, that ran Event 201 in October 2019, if you don't know what that is. It was an exercise simulating a worldwide coronavirus pandemic 3 months before it happened. So we can see the pattern. They run the simulation, they run the crisis, and then they sell the response. The cyber pandemic framing is being prepared for the next major emergency. And when it happens, the response will be an integration of AI into the cybersecurity infrastructure. This is not my speculation. It's not my opinion. This is exactly what they're telling us is going to happen. And the AI build-out that we're watching now is the infrastructure for that response. What's more, the United Nations has a published plan for every person on Earth to have a digital identity by 2030. Few have read that document. Every person on Earth registered with a digital identity, integrated with payment systems, and integrated with online platforms and systems. Almost every country in the world has signed. In my opinion, I think they gave us AI as we are playing with it now in this form for a very specific reason. They want us to get used to it. They want us to make us familiar with it. This is my speculation, of course, but any intelligent organization knows that you can't just flip a switch and put people into a fully AI automated system.
But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
So they give us the tool first. They let us play with it. They let us have it for fun. They let us use it for work, for our personal projects. And they let us see how easy it makes our life. We become familiar with it, and we cannot imagine our lives without it. Then, in a few years, when they ask us to integrate the same AI into our medical decisions, our financial decisions, our legal process, our governmental services, most people are going to shrug and say, what does it matter? I've been using AI for everything else for like the last few years. What's the difference? We've watched this playbook before. Let's take a look. Social media. We willingly handed over our faces, our locations, our networks, our preferences, our daily activities for free because it was fun. We didn't ask them what they were going to do with all that data. We just wanted to share our photos and connect with people. We did that to ourselves, or rather, we were led to it and we just took the bait. Then what's more, we put cameras on the front of our own homes, Ring cameras, Nest cams, because we wanted the convenience and we wanted even more security. Now there's a network of millions of private cameras feeding into police databases and accessible to AI surveillance systems. So essentially, we installed our own surveillance network and we paid for it. Our cell phones, we willingly carry tracking devices in our pockets at all times, location data, microphone access, biometric scans on some of them. We hand it over because we want the convenience. 20 years ago, if the government had said, hey, everyone needs to carry this GPS tracker in their pocket, everyone would have scoffed and laughed at them. It's the frog in boiling water. The temperature rises so slowly that we don't even notice that we're being boiled alive. So whenever you catch yourself saying, what does it matter? They already have all my info anyway. What does it matter? They have my face anyway. What does it matter? They have my data anyway. That thought didn't arrive accidentally. That feeling of resignation and feeling of apathy that we end up having is and was the goal all along.
The greatest fear that I have regarding the outcome for America of these disclosures is that nothing will change. And because of that, a new leader will be elected. They'll flip the switch, say that because of the crisis, because of the dangers that we face in the world, some new and unpredicted threat, we need more authority, we need more power, and there will be nothing the people can do at that point to oppose it, and it'll be turnkey tyranny.
Now, if you're like me, the next question you might be asking yourself is, but why? Why are they doing this? Why are the people at top wanting to do this? Now, I can't tell you the motive because motive is impossible to know why people would do what they do. But what we can do is look at behavior and look at the words they literally told us. The people at the very top share a remarkably consistent worldview, even though they come from different industries, different countries, and political backgrounds, all on the surface at least. But they all appear to agree on a few things. The first ones, humans are the problem.
Prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would,
this is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions.
The consistent thread is that humans are the obstacle to the future. And the solution, in their view, is either fewer humans, modified humans, or replaced humans. The second thing they seem to agree on is that consciousness is just like a computation. They believe that the mind is just information processing and that the body is just biology that can be hacked. This is the transhumanist core that runs through Silicon Valley and the WEF. The third thing that they seem to agree on is that they are the rightful stewards of the very future because they're so smart, they have all the resources, they have all the technology. They are the ones that need to direct where humanity goes. From inside that worldview, it's clear the problem is humans. So, okay, what can we do now? As best I can tell, there are really only two honest options. The first option, option A, is to use AI and all modern technology that we've already discussed, use it consciously. Use these tools in the most safe way that you can as best you can while simultaneously staying alert and aware as you're asked to consent to more upcoming AI integrations into your daily life because you will be. Most people will say yes without thinking about it like most of us have for the phone and internet and all of that. But this option, I feel, is going to be constantly exhausting because it'll become increasingly difficult, if not impossible, to participate in society without accepting these AI integrations into our lives. Now, the second option, option B, is to leave the modern world, to leave all these technological advancements and go the way that the Amish did. Now, I say that with full respect. I'm not even joking. This is something I'm truly considering in my life. Like, is this the option that I want to go towards eventually at some point? But I think about the Amish because they've already been wrestling with these foundational questions for like 300 years. Every Amish community evaluates a new technology by asking the same question. Does this technology strengthen our family, our community, our humility, our faith, or does it weaken it? If it strengthens those, or even if it's neutral, it might come in a little bit in moderation. But if it weakens any of them, it doesn't come in at all. Most of us never ask these questions, and that's a big part of how we ended up here.
At the same time, you have to make a determination about what it is that's important to you. And if living unfreely but comfortably is something you're willing to accept, and I think many of us are, it's the human nature. You can get up every day, you can go to work, you can collect your large paycheck for relatively little work against the public interest, and go to sleep at night after watching your shows. But if you realize that that's the world that you helped create, and it's going to get worse with the next generation and the next generation who extend the capabilities of this sort of architecture of oppression.
The behavior pattern of the people at the top is not normal human behavior. It can't be fully explained by just ordinary greed or the need for more money or even the need for more power. Like, even that's not sufficient to explain why they're doing what they're doing. The Tower of Babel story in the Bible is about exactly this, and so is Frankenstein. So if they won't stop and the build out is going to happen regardless, does what I do, does what you do even matter at all? And I don't just mean using AI. I mean, does anything we're doing with any of these technologies in our life, what we decide to do, does any of it matter? This is the question that I had to wrestle with before I even made this video. The trap in this question, I came to realize, was that I was treating it as a competition, us versus them, their scoreboard, their game. They want everything measured in scale, in control, dominance, completing their projects. On their scorecard, no individual work is ever going to matter. The work I do, the work you do, doesn't matter. But we can choose to play a different game. If you help just one person, or if you love other people in your life, or you remain in what makes you special as a human being, as an individual, those in and of themselves are complete events. It doesn't require the whole system to fail for that event to hold immense meaning in your life and in the lives of the people around you. It just requires that one person in their one life experiences something that's true for themselves. And then if we multiply that by thousands of conscious human beings, I mean, to me, that's winning. So if you take nothing else from this video, I hope you take this. Do not let them take your humanness. And I'm talking to myself as well. That's what they're after. I'm not sure fully I understand why they're after this without getting into spiritual speculation, but whatever their reason is, they seem really threatened by human qualities: love, grief, the real body, the soul, faith, intuition, the connection that can't be programmed. They want all of that replaced or managed. We have something they want and they cannot get it on their own. So don't give it up. Don't give away your humanity.